Okay, here we have the races for the 17th of December 2018, a Monday. There's two meetings, Taree and Orange. Orange, the track's a good for and the rail's in the true position, so this is probably the meeting we should have a look at. But we're going to focus on Taree. Rail's out 3 metres, the track's a soft 5, but the weather's fine, so it'll probably be upgraded to a good 4 when the races run. So the races of interest to look at here are race 5 and race 6, with the intention of taking a running double plus a covered bet. So let's have a quick look at race 5. It's the benchmark 58 to 59, top rated with a 51 average, 278 starts, lots of form from the top. Enlightened Boy, 5th last starting to 55, finishing fairly close up. He is way up at the weights. He's not well handicapped, so we probably could prefer him. Port Gold is racing well. We'd have to consider him to be some sort of chance, although he has got a bad barrier. So some chance. 12th Raj doesn't look to be in that great of form. It's only got a placing at Tuncurry, admittedly in a stronger race in theory. Has got the 59 and barrier 9, 72 days off, so we'll prefer him. Gronki, racing okay in similar sort of race, is down at the weights, so must be some sort of chance. Ruby Two Shoes finished close up last time in a shorter race, similar sort of standard, a mare's race. This is an open 58. Slightly down at the weights, would have to be some chance. There is a bit of a question about the distance, I suppose. One start for 0, which was this 7th at Armadale. Some chance, but some distance question. Something shocking, second last start from barrier 12, before that barrier 10. Today it's got barrier 3, so clearly it's got a few things going its way. It has form over around the distance. It's only back 50 metres, which is not that major in a more or less a similar race, a little bit less weight, so this has to be a chance. Warren Bungle looks pretty unlikely. Guided, racing well in similar company and has got a better barrier as well. So it also looks a little bit doubtful over the distance, with recent form over shorter trips being better, but yeah, barrier 1 must be some sort of chance. Thunderheart won okay last time and not too much worse off of the weights, been running in weaker arguably races on Saturdays, but would have to be considered to be some sort of chance. And this one did win a Corindi Maiden, but seems probably unlikely. Second up. It's racing well in weaker company, although again it was a 57 last time. This is a 51. It's got the same weight, so it's quite well weighted. Must be some sort of chance. So I've gone around those one time. If we have a look at the market, we've got Gronki, Ruby Shoes, Splash of Lime, Thundering Heart, Something Shocking, Guided, and Port Gold. Basically we've got more than half the field as being strong chances. Let's have a look at the sectional ratings. On top we've got Gronki and Ruby Shoes and Something Shocking. So Gronki and Ruby Two Shoes are on top on the market, and they're on top on the sectional ratings. So I would be thinking we would take 4 and 5 and also take the favourite, the 6, Something Shocking, since that seems to have pretty good form. So that's the first leg. Again, we haven't done a lot of work on it, and only going thin in terms of taking some sort of double. Too many horses have got a chance here. We could take all of those, but even still miss the double or the first leg. Moving on to the second race very quickly again. This is the race we're looking to have a covered bet. The horse in this case is Pickle House, the B being a S in this case. So he ran first up fourth at Newcastle in a stronger race at 62. Now, the problem with the benchmark figures in this case here, this is one of the problems when you have weak races. Here, if you have a look at the handicap figures, the top one, it's got a handicap rating of 72, going down, down, down until we get to about here. And then there's a bit of a drop down, and then right at the bottom we have this horse Super Bonus. Now, it could make some contribution in the race with this rating, but generally speaking, you want to avoid horses that are going to have a rating less than 15 benchmark points below the top rated one. So 15 below 72 is going to give us what, 57. So we pretty much could be thinking of looking at those top 6 horses as being the main chances, and these bottom ones, again, if you want to have a quick method, you pretty much could say, well, you're going to ignore those bottom few horses. But anyway, going through this very quickly, O'Driscoll is racing well, so he has to be some chance. Got a good barrier. Lot of weight though. Loving Home has been racing okay without doing much, so we probably prefer him. Pickle House is running second up. Now this is one of these horses that's moved state. It's come from, well, it's been back and forth in fact. It's ran first up at Newcastle in arguably a stronger race, and it's down slightly in the weight, but it does have a worse barrier, and it's stepping up to 1600 metres. Now it did win over 1500, but I don't see this as being a fantastic horse. Having had a look at the first up run, it was a little bit unlucky. It was held up on the fence behind the leaders, but then when it did have a clear run, it really didn't do a great deal. Now, it may improve. It has had 4 first up runs for only a third, and then second up it's had 2 runs for first, if you like to follow the statistics. The horse may improve hugely after that first up run. However, this is the one that I would be looking to lay in this race, Pickle House, because it's going to be short. But it still is some chance in the race. Continuing on, Chalcedony, it's racing well enough to say that it could be some chance in this race, so we'd have to put it into some chance. 20 days off though is a bit of a concern. Fast Quest is racing okay without racing great. Did win this Crambatch Cup back in October on a wet track, so it might improve on the slightly softer track, so you could say that it's some sort of chance. Scotty Biggotti, well, he's really only beaten a couple of horses home last time over a much longer distance, so we'd probably be preferring him. I've got this is on the quick backup 4 days. Now generally horses on the quick backup over short distances are not very reliable. This one's on the quick backup over arguably a longer trip, so it's probably not that bad. Led up last time from barrier 14, so had 57, it's now down to 52.5, so it's we don't really know what the class move here is in this case, what the last start was, but that would probably be slightly weaker race than this, but it has got a real weight advantage and a better barrier, so I'd have to be saying it's some chance, and we'll basically ignore the bottom few horses. So having had a look at that, we end up, there's not a lot of chances in this race, and so this brings Pickle House into being some winning chance, but again, unless it improves a lot on that first up run, I really can't see it doing it. So in terms of the covered bet, we would take O'Driscoll, Chalcedony, Fast Quest, and I've got this in some sort of Dutch style bet and lay Pickle House. So there you go. They're the selections and consideration for today at Taree. Looking very quickly at race 7. This is one of the races where this Stellar Sea Sun has won very well in a maiden at its second start. So the question now is whether this is going to be able to win again, stepping up from a maiden to a class 2, which most horses don't do. So this one on the other hand did win very well from what I remember of that race, and so it does look one of the races where you don't really want to risk the favourite. But on the other hand, very few horses move from a maiden, and this was a fillies and mares maiden, to then win a class 2. So here's another horse you could consider whether you wanted to lay it or not, but the way I see it at the moment, I wouldn't be laying this one. We will hope, for want of another term, that Pickle House can do the job and not win in this race. So that's the end of the video for today.